While he took office as Taoiseach and he was re-elected as Taoiseach and then as Taoiseach in the arrangement with Fianna Fáil, electorally he hasn't been as successful perhaps as people might have hoped at the time.
No, indeed. And despite the fact that he as Taoiseach or as Taoiseach has dealt with some of the major issues that this country have been challenged with over the last number of decades, for instance COVID and Brexit, and indeed getting the economy back to a strong footing after the crash of 2008-2009. But at the same time, where he is at the moment with Fine Gael, having led it since 2017, and now the trouncing in the two referendums, that obviously gave an awful lot of food for thought for all of the government leaders, the coalition leaders, because there was no idea that it would be lost so hugely from their perspective. And then, of course, as well, we know that Fine Gael TDs, there's generational change happening there. There's a lot of Fine Gael TDs having announced that they're going to be leaving. Some because they're retiring, others who are still in the full flight of their political careers, but they've decided very strong centrist.
OK, and sorry to interrupt you, Joe, but here comes Taoiseach Leo Varadkar to make that long-expected statement.
Yep. Hello everyone, I'd like to thank you for coming. I'd like to read a brief statement. I've had the privilege to serve for the past 20 years as a public representative, 13 as a member of cabinet, 7 as leader of my party, and most of those as Taoiseach of this great country. It has been the most fulfilling time of my life. Working with colleagues, I've had the honour of helping to lead Ireland from unemployment to full employment, from a budget deficit to budget surplus, from austerity to prosperity, through a pandemic in which we saved lives and livelihoods, through Brexit when we prevented a hard border between North and South and protected our place in Europe. I'm proud that we've made the country a more equal and more modern place when it comes to the rights of children, the LGBT community, equality for women and their bodily autonomy. More recently, we've led the country through an inflation and cost of living crisis, the worst of which is now thankfully behind us. We've made significant steps towards affordable childcare and universal healthcare, making access to both more affordable for more people. We've made work pay better, with the implementation of a national living wage, statutory sick pay, lower personal taxes, improved family leave, allowing parents to spend more time with their children in those crucial early years. I'm happy that during my time as Taoiseach we were able to honour my commitment to double spending on the arts, culture and sport. This is making a real difference now and will continue to do so into the future, fostering and assisting the artists and the sportsmen and women of the future. We provided leadership by increasing our spending on international development, and we've expanded our diplomatic footprint around the world, building on Ireland's already considerable soft power. The National Broadband Plan is underway, bringing fibre-based internet connections to every home, school, business and farm and community in Ireland, which the critics said shouldn't be done. We've established the technology universities and the Rural Development Fund, and since 2011 we've quadrupled overall annual investment in public infrastructure. That's meant considerably more investment in priorities like housing, healthcare facilities, school buildings and climate action. And I am deeply proud that we as Irish people welcomed over 100,000 Ukrainian refugees to our shores when they needed our protection, notwithstanding the challenges this brings. In my time as Taoiseach, we reduced consistent poverty and income inequality. Housing construction has more than doubled, with 500 people becoming homeowners each week for the first time, the highest number in almost 2 decades. Of course, there are areas in which we have been much less successful, and some in which we have sadly gone backwards. But I hope you'll forgive me if I leave it to others to point them out on a day like this. They will receive plenty of airtime and column space. When I became party leader and Taoiseach back in June 2017, I knew that one part of leadership is knowing when the time has come to pass on the baton to somebody else, and then having the courage to do it. That time is now. So I am resigning as President and Leader of Fine Gael effective today, and will resign as Taoiseach as soon as my successor is able to take up that office. I've asked our Party General Secretary and Executive Council to provide for the new leader to be elected in advance of the Ardèche on Saturday, April 16th, thus allowing a new Taoiseach to be elected when the Dáil resumes after the Easter break. I know this will come as a surprise to many people and a disappointment to some, and I hope at least you will understand my decision. I know that others will, how shall I put it, cope with the news just fine. That is the great thing about living in a democracy. There's never a right time to resign high office. However, this is as good a time as any. Budget 2024 is done. Negotiations have not yet commenced on the next one. The institutions of the Good Friday Agreement are working again, and our trading relationship with the UK in the post-Brexit era is settled and stable. The new Taoiseach will have a full 2 months to prepare for the local and European elections, and up to a year before the next general election. My reasons for stepping down are both personal and political. I believe this government can be re-elected, and I believe my party, Fine Gael, can gain seats in the next Dáil. Most of all, I believe the re-election of this three-party government would be the right thing for the future of our country, continuing to take us forward, protecting all that's been achieved and building on it. But after careful consideration and some soul-searching, I believe that a new Taoiseach and a new leader will be better placed than me to achieve that, to renew and strengthen the team, to focus our message and policies, to drive implementation. And after 7 years in office, I don't feel I'm the best person for that job anymore. There are loyal colleagues and good friends contesting local European elections, and I want to give them the best chance possible. And I think they have a better chance under a new leader. I am standing aside in the absolute confidence that the country and the economy are in a good place, and that my colleagues in government from all three parties, Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil and the Greens and the Oireachtas, will continue to work hard for the nation's best interests. On a personal level, I've enjoyed being Taoiseach, leader and cabinet member since March 2011. I've learned so much about so many things, met so many people who I'd never have got to meet, been to places I would never have seen, both home and abroad. And I am deeply grateful for it. And despite the challenges, would wholeheartedly recommend a career in politics to anyone who's considering it. However, politicians are human beings and we have our limitations. We give it everything until we can't anymore, and then we have to move on. I will, of course, continue to fulfil my duties as Taoiseach until a new one is elected, and will remain as constituency TD for Dublin West. I know inevitably there'll be speculation as to the quote-unquote real reason for my decision. These are the real reasons. That's it. I have nothing else lined up. I have nothing in mind. I have no definite personal or political plans. But I'm really looking forward to having the time to think about them. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my party, my coalition partners, particularly Micheál and Eamon, my constituents, colleagues and staff for their loyalty and their phenomenal work, and I'm going to thank them all in person in the near future. Most of all, I want to finish by thanking the people of Ireland for giving me the opportunity to serve them, and I promise I'll keep working for Ireland and my community in any way I can in the future. Thank you very much.
Taoiseach Leo Varadkar there finishing an emotional statement, flanked by his Fine Gael colleagues in Cabinet. As had been speculated and expected, he has announced his resignation as Taoiseach, as leader of Fine Gael. A process will now get